on target, ending up in the back of the net for PSG. They'll be going to bed tonight wondering how on earth they didn't get something from this game. Liverpool then with the advantage going into the second leg next week at Anfield. Stephen.
I need to lie down. I'm exhausted. I haven't watched that.
It was exhausting watching it with you.
From the start to the finish, Liverpool, other than the goal, were completely and totally outplayed. I thought to begin with that Liverpool were just going to sit tight and try and counter, just to play themselves into the game. But the longer the game went on, PSG just forced them back. And the other thing that was surprising to me was sometimes when you get so many men behind the ball, you forget to close the ball properly. And I've seen it happen. And this is what happened tonight. Because the fact that they got so many shots off, not just in the box, but outside the box, tells you that nobody was getting close enough. And sometimes teams just think because they've got numbers, then they're safe. And the other thing that probably was the worst, in my opinion, I have never seen this team on the slot lose the ball and give the ball away and look as though they had no idea what they were doing, as they did in this game. It was absolutely mind-blowing. All the talk was this Liverpool side right now are possibly the best team in Europe. I'll tell you what, they weren't tonight. They were awful. And you said it, cut the final whistle. Absolute daylight robbery.
The sheriff's in town looking for 11 gentlemen dressed in red.
What about him hitting the table?
That's the only time I've ever, and I mean this with all sincerity, I got a fright during the game because he hit, as you well know, we all sit in the chairs and his nib sits in at the table behind us, mainly because he's munching on stuff. But he hit the table right behind my head so freaking hard, I actually jumped.
I thought the roof had collapsed or something.
And then I realised that was Liverpool's worst performance. I mean, it was the worst performance of the season. Okay, they're playing a really good side.
Yeah.
Arguably one of Europe's in-form sides with Barkley and Dembele and Kvaratskhelia and all these players, Vitinha. But still, the retention of the ball, which has been, Stevie mentioned, which has been great. They couldn't do that. They couldn't keep it, and that meant they couldn't get out. There was no out ball, and Jota playing through the middle. There's no real pace there to hit it over the top. It's one of the reasons Nunez came on. And quite frankly, they didn't defend particularly well either. Now, you might think, you know, we've gone to Paris, we've absolutely nicked one on the break with a substitute, we've kept a clean sheet, oh, we must have defended well. No, they didn't defend well. No. Because you don't defend well when your goalkeeper is having to make world-class saves every couple of minutes or every 5 minutes. So, and I think that the epitome of that was the defending from Van Dijk in the first half. Do you remember? Yep. When he went completely the opposite way of where Dembele was going, and Alisson had to come out and smother it. So, surprisingly, they were all over the shop today. PSG, I can't criticise PSG. I can't. Might be one or two finishes you could go, well, I should have done better there. But how can you legislate for a world-class goalkeeper having a world-class evening? And basically that's what it was.
And that's it, isn't it? It wasn't how PSG created so many chances, they wasted them. They were just denied them.
It was a 10 out of 10 performance from Alisson. And there's no other way to describe it. Every save that he needed to make, he did make. And the ones that you were not expecting him to make, he made those as well. It was a special performance by Alisson. Now, that's 10 out of 10 for Alisson. The rest of the group, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10 at best. The difference of what we have seen from Liverpool this season and what they were today is stark, is significant. To the point that the guys are making in terms of the ball retention, it is difficult to understand how players of such experience, guys like Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, Mohamed Salah, don't understand what's needed from them in this specific game, given how the game was going. That when the ball is cleared out to them, their first priority is to hang on to that ball. Hang on to that ball and allow the team to get forward so that you can push the line a little bit further forward so that you can take this game into the middle third and into the attacking third. Instead, Diogo Jota is running with the ball into 4 and 5 PSG defenders. Instead, Mohamed Salah cannot actually receive the ball and complete a pass without having a turnover. Instead, Luis Diaz is going into challenges and doing flick-ons and back heels to nobody because they are not able to hold on to the ball. So it's not just hanging on to the ball through the midfield. The attacking players have to understand, right now, it's not so much what I can do in the final third. It's just as important that I hang on to the ball here, in this moment, to give us a chance to breathe.
I think every now and again you need, as a team that is doing so well, you need an eye-opener. You know, early in the season, Forest at home, surprise defeat. Then they went on a run again. Everybody's talking about them winning the league at a canter, and they probably will. Most people are talking about, well, they're the favourites for the Champions League. Maybe the bookies are saying Real Madrid or Barca, whatever. But the way they've been playing, they've been most people's favourites. Those players will hear those things. And every now and again, it's good to get reminded that when you drop the ball and your game is not 100%, particularly against the better teams, this can happen to you. Now,
did PSG do something differently today that other teams haven't done?
they just passed the ball. They passed the ball with great pace, great incision, and getting it forward, and then they just committed fullbacks and midfielders and got in behind so many times. It was like that Liverpool midfield. It was a little bit like when Jurgen Klopp's team just kept going forward and leaving space. It was like, how is this space appearing in this Liverpool midfield? So they haven't come up against a side recently that is past the ball, as pacey and as quick as that. But I said to Stevie at the end of it, it's very unlikely that Liverpool will play as badly as that at Anfield with the atmosphere and what's on the line. But if they do, they will go out.
And of course, two big things. Alisson having the best game hit by his own admission that he's ever had. Second one, Konate still being on the pitch.
I don't understand, and I still can't figure out how the VAR, having been able to look at that again.
Peeves, I think most people, it certainly annoys the hell out of me, is that the referee hasn't given it in full time, right? Trust me, if he gives that, the VAR does not change it. And this is the problem, the huge problem I got with this, is that VAR have looked at it, the referee has stopped the game when the ball went out, and VAR has looked at it, and I think has said, do you know what? There is a push, there's no doubt about it, but is there enough for me to overturn the on-field decision? And we're back in this minefield of this clear and obvious nonsense, because this, is it an infringement? Is it a free kick? Yes or no? The answer for most of us, I think, is a clear yes. Is it a red card? I mean, we could debate where it started. It might have been just outside the box. It's irrelevant to the red card because he wasn't making an attempt to play the ball. So it should have been a free kick or a penalty, and it should have been a red card.
Why PSG was so successful today, and it's not just in this play, is their ability to actually threaten in behind with the speed of players like Barcola and Dembele.
Dembele was so good.
Two guys that don't need the help of outside backs overlapping for them to be able to be successful in 1v1 situations. And when you have that threat down the right-hand side and the same threat down the left-hand side, and your two outside players for Liverpool, if you are to pick out who are your weakest defenders, that's it. It's Robertson and Alexander-Arnold on the other side. And so now you have this matchup that naturally are mismatches. You have players that don't really enjoy defending in the case of Alexander-Arnold, and in the case of Robertson, he just doesn't have the pace anymore. It wasn't just the one play in which Dembele gets behind him and then McAllister and then crosses the ball to João Neves. There was one play in the second half in which he got turned around about 3 different directions and he's unable to keep up with pace. That threat is ongoing for PSG, and I don't think that threat is going away even at Anfield. Barcola will keep going after you, and Dembele will keep going after you.
PSG basically, for 90% of the game, did to Liverpool what Liverpool have been doing to the opposition all season.
Right.
You know, didn't let them out, kept the ball. They couldn't get the ball. The only bit that was missing, of course, is that final piece, which again, I think it's really hard to turn around and point the finger at any of the PSG guys, Kvaratskhelia or Dembele, because at the end of the day, we're talking about an incredible performance from the goalkeeper.
But that's okay though, because these things happen.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have these days, but it doesn't happen very often where a good 9 or 10 of them, and I think we could probably say that.
Yeah.
You know, all out of sorts.
So to the goal, the Liverpool goal, or the only goal, Arne Slot made those changes. Nunez coming on, obviously, and the goal scorer coming on as well. Like, how much did that change the attack?
Not really. The keeper lumped it up.
It wasn't.
Well, they had
it
a bit
wasn't
more,
a tactical masterclass.
No, they had a. Well,
no.
he could have taken any of them off.
Yes.
Took Salah off, and I can't remember who else came off.
Diaz, yeah.
Diaz came off when Nunez come on. What they had was somebody that they could lump the ball forward to, somebody that could run in behind, and Harvey Elliott can sometimes do it. Arne Slot's had a lot of praise, and rightly so. He's done a magnificent job. But this, in some sense, could be a huge. Is it next week, the games?
Yep, next week.
This is a big 7 days. And I tell you why. And it's not just about going in and out of the competition, because that can happen. But that's the biggest pasting Liverpool have taken this season, right, as a game of football. Even if PSG go through in this competition, but if Liverpool change their approach next week and somehow it doesn't work for them, but they played great, I think you could accept that. If PSG go to Anfield and do the same again to Liverpool, then you have to look at the manager and say,
from him.
Why didn't you learn from the week before? So I'm guaranteeing now he's going to be spending however many days it is looking at the video of that game saying, how the hell did that happen, and how can I make sure it doesn't happen at Anfield? So it's a big 7 days for him.
It's hard to believe that